Everyone, Totes My Goats here. Just want to move on to our next part, which is going to be around just kind of getting your basic track layout set up with this terrain. So now that we have our erosion added to the end of our whole terrain here, I think we've got a good spot to start. Obviously you can add more, you can change things as you'd like. But for this demo, I'm just going to keep this as kind of the way that we might want to build this track out. So looking at this track, I'm going to use their feature called pin as an underlay. This is going to allow this node to stay visible while I work on another node. And the other node that I want to work on is going to be a mask node. So I want to add a mask node here. And you can see if I don't have erosion pinned as the underlay, and if I click mask, which isn't connected to erosion, it doesn't have any details to show me, right? I don't really know where I'm going with this mask or what I'm doing with it. So something that's really helpful is this pin as underlay. I'm going to pin it as an underlay or hit G, right? So tapping G pins it as an underlay. You'll see that little pink/purple icon at the bottom. And then you've got your mask. Now that I've selected the mask, you can see that the screen hasn't changed. It's pinned this node as an underlay so that disconnected nodes will show this node when it needs to. So I'm going to click Edit Mask. As I was kind of talking through this a little bit, I was thinking how much we need to, or how wide we need to make this. So the math here is, I would say you've got a 2049 pixel height map. Yeah, 2049 by 2049 divided by 800 meters. So I believe that is coming down to about 2.5 pixels per meter. 2.5 pixels per meter. I want this to be about 15 meters wide to begin with. So I think that's a roughly, 37 to 38 pixels. And I'm pretty sure these are pixels up here. We'll just start with this being 37. Cool. So you can see I got a little red circle here. I'm going to go through and just, for fun right now, build out a track, okay? So maybe this is where we'll keep our start area. I'm just going to keep that in mind. And so I might take this and, looking at this terrain over here, I don't really know exactly what I want, but we could probably have, something coming through here a little bit around here, coming up, maybe go through and up this hill, a little downhill section and back, maybe come around. I'm just kind of looking it out, eyeballing it. Doesn't really matter at the moment. So let's see if I can do what I just said I was going to do. Something like this, kind of come up and around. Go down the base. When I come up the middle of this mountain here, and we'll get to the top. We'll cut over and down, jump over this hill, down. Now again, off camber is kind of not fun in this game, so I try to avoid it, but you can always fix these spots later in Leveler, which we'll get to at some point. Go up and over this little hill. Oops, I accidentally clicked, or left click, so it got rid of my mask. Or, I'm sorry, stop drawing my mask is what I meant to say. All right. Now again, this layout is probably not going to be perfect. I'm actually going to maybe delete some of this stuff over here. I like that too much. So this might be our start area or something right there. Okay, so I believe that feels pretty good with our mask, okay? And if you look at it, it looks a little blurry, and that's because of this power value. I like to kind of run this around about 1 for this purpose instead. Makes the edges a little bit harder. You can drop it all the way down to 0 if you just want a hard mask. 0.5 is also pretty good for this purpose, so maybe I'll start with that. So I'm going to start with a 0.5. Here's kind of what our track layout is looking like. Okay, I think that's kind of good, you know. Let's stick with that for now. Then the next step that we want to do is we want to say, let's take this erosion node, let's output it to a blur node. Okay, I don't want to blur the whole map, and you can see right off the bat that this blurred everything there, right? Blurred everything in the erosion node down. But before I do that, we should actually take our mask and drag it into the blur to tell it actually only blur where the mask is. Okay, can't see a lot right now because it's not a bunch of blurring, but I'm just gonna up this blurring to about 10, and then let's just kind of keep increasing the power here. And now you can kind of start to see a track pop through a little bit. Now this all always kind of has different effects, right? Like on the flatter surfaces, it's making it bulge out. On the mountain surfaces, kind of makes it bulge down a little bit. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but either way, you now have a smooth outline of your track to begin with, and to start uh, tweaking if you want. And you can even see it kind of goes up into the mountains, kind of gives you a little bit of a berm around there. There's a lot of options that you have at this point, but this could be a good start for you and your terrain to go into Leveler and begin tweaking your jumps. Okay, so let's talk about how to export these in our next video. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here.